I'm excited to announce our keynote speaker, Jaycee Carroll. Just a little bit about him. Jaycee Carroll is a former professional basketball player, celebrated for his elite shooting ability and remarkable career both in college and internationally. Born on April 6, 1983 in Laramie, Wyoming, Carroll made his mark at Utah State University, becoming the school's all-time leading soccer and earning All-American honors. After college, Carroll launched a professional career in Europe, most notably with Real Madrid in Spain. Over more than a decade, he became one of the most accurate shooters in the world, helping lead his team to multiple Euroleague and Spanish league titles and solidifying his legacy in European basketball. Following his retirement from professional basketball, Carroll transitioned into the world of finance and entrepreneurship. He currently works as a financial advisor at 3 Seasons Wealth, where he helps entrepreneurs and professional athletes build long-term financial security, reduce monetary stress, and free up time to focus on their passions. Carroll is also the co-founder of Slickhorn Ranch, a direct-to-consumer beef company rooted in quality, transparency, and ethical ranching. Inspired by his 12 years in Spain and deep agricultural roots, he is dedicated to delivering premium pasture-raised beef from his ranch in Logan, Utah, where he lives with his wife and 4 children. Jaycee Carroll brings the same discipline, passion, and integrity to investing and ranching that has defined his legendary basketball career. Give it up for Jaycee Carroll.
There we go. Thank you. Hey, I'm excited to be here today. Thank you for the wonderful introduction. It's definitely makes me feel a lot cooler when you say all those nice things about me. But then when y'all left, now I feel lonely up here. So bear with me as I get my bearings. But first of all, I'd like to thank Paz and for inviting me. I was thrilled when they reached out to me, excited for the opportunity to come and share some of my experiences, some thoughts, some feelings that I have. I'd like to thank Ryan and Esterly for all the efforts they've put to do this. I mean, just having simple conversations with them, you understand that they're very busy, they're very accomplished. They don't necessarily have time to add another thing to their lives, but they do, because they see the purpose, and as they said, they see a divine purpose for what this is. As we go today, the idea is that I share some thoughts and then we have some time for questions, okay? And so please have a question or two so we don't hear crickets when I start to look and say, hey, anyone have something they want to ask? And it can be about anything. The question stuff is almost for me where it gets a little bit more exciting, all right? What else do I got to think about that? I've been lucky enough in my life during basketball and post-basketball that I do get to spend a lot of time with youth, with young people. And I think they are so much fun. I coach a high school girls basketball team. I come into the team room, and they all have lots of stories they want to tell. And it's fun, and they want to tease you and do that kind of stuff. I work with the youth in my church and the young men's program, and they're completely different. You walk in, they don't care that I'm there. They don't want to tell me stuff, and I really got to poke and prod them. So for me, the girls' side's they're a lot more fun than the young men's for sure. So this is a picture of me when I was playing basketball. This is 2018. That's Luka Doncic. He recently was traded to Los Angeles Lakers. Some people were upset about that. But I had a fun time playing basketball with him. I thought the first thing I want to share is 3 lessons that I learned throughout the course of my life. And if we're going to talk about youth, or we have with youth, I was a youth once. Okay? I still feel like a youth, but that's me on the right. And why not share a picture with giant red shorts that you got off the sales rack at Roca-Wear, size 50-inch waistband, and that's why I was on the sales rack, but it was elastic, and we could pull them tight. That's my best friend and cousin. His name's Nathan, and this was me in 2021, right before my senior year of high school. All right? Right before my senior year of high school. Now, the first lesson that I learned very early on, okay, is I learned that every single one of you have unbelievable capabilities and aptitudes in this life. Every single one of you have something you can go out and do. Okay, and it's our job here on this earth to develop those talents, skills, abilities. Okay, you young men, you women, you are beautiful, you're wonderful, you're smart, you're talented. And you need to understand that. You need to remember that. You know that you have a value. You have something to add to this life, and that you will be missed if you weren't around. Okay? A couple of quotes I like. Understand your incredible potential. If I start with the first picture with the goofy guy in the black tank top and the giant parachute red shorts, because that guy had potential. It was a bottle of untapped potential at the time, but some lessons, some things I did in my life to help me fulfill some of that potential. Maybe we'll get to the next, there we go. All right, these are some quotes I kind of like. The greatest crime is not developing your potential. When you do what you do best, you're helping not only yourself, but the world. Human potential is incomputable, and I believe that. I don't know what all your talents, skills, and abilities are in this room. Some of you do, and don't be shy about them, okay? I was very good at basketball, but I worked really hard to get really good at basketball. There are other things that I was not as good at, but through a lot of time, effort, patience, discipline, I was able to find a way in it. And no doubt every single one of you have some of those things. So please understand your aptitudes, talents, capacities, and abilities. And let's figure out how to develop them. Okay? Every single one of you matter and have so much to offer those around you. Okay? So that's my first lesson that I learned as a kid, is that we have incredible potential as human beings to do wonderful things. Okay? Lesson number 2. So, 2 years later, actually a year later after that picture, okay? I was 19 years old, and I decided I was going to go be a missionary. I got called to Santiago, Chile, speaking Spanish, which I had no Spanish-speaking abilities, and I got out, sent out to the world. I remember when I was sitting in the Salt Lake airport, and a voice came over the speaker system announcing our flight, and they were speaking in Spanish. And when I heard that and didn't understand what they were saying, I never felt more dark, more alone, or more afraid of my life, to be perfectly honest. And it was a really humbling experience. Now, about a year out in the mission, I was in a place called Los Cristales. Okay, Los Cristales was a very poor area in the southern part of Santiago, Chile. I loved it there. But while I was there, in my 5 months I was in that area, there were 15 homicides in the streets that we were walking. There were, I met so many young ladies that were 14, 15, 16 years old that were dealing with teen pregnancies. There's a lot of poor, and it just really was kind of a sad place to be, coming from where I came from. And there were drugs in the streets and everything else, and it was quite eye-opening to me. Now I remember, as a missionary, you get to meet with your leader, your mission president, about every 6 weeks. And I remember just one day I was walking through the streets, and I kind of could see the sun setting a little bit, and I just had this thought, and it was a simple thought. I just thought to myself, why am I so lucky? Why have I been so blessed? Okay, I had the opportunity to be here in this place, and I sat down with my mission president, and I asked him that question. I said, President, sometimes I don't understand why I'm so lucky, why I'm so blessed. And he looked at me and said, JC, there's always going to be 2 principles that are first, faith, repentance. But the third principle that any of us can learn is up to every individual to decide what that is in your life. And he said, JC, for me, it's gratitude. Gratitude will always be the third principle I found my life on. And that's when I learned kind of my third lesson. Okay, gratitude. To be grateful for all the wonderful things we have. And in time, to be grateful for the struggles we have, and for the challenges, and for the difficulties that come. Those challenges and difficulties ultimately make us a little better. Kind of like we hear sometimes turning that lump of coal into a diamond through pressure and fire and heat. I am grateful for those times I had in Santiago, Chile, that I could see vast contrasts in life that I didn't see before then. Okay, so my first lesson I learned was remember your great potential. The second lesson is let's be grateful, gratitude. It's one of the pillars of my girls' basketball team. All right, I want to share a little bit about my journey. Okay, about my journey, and this is a picture of me as a baby, kind of a little chubby guy, but my journey started in sixth grade. Most of us here are older than sixth grade, but in sixth grade, I had a teacher, Mr. Myers. Mr. Myers had us write down life's goals. I said, what do you want to be in life? How many of you have been asked that? Okay, how many have a good answer? Anybody? What is your good answer? A lot of them. Give me one. Aerospace engineering, fantastic. I think my daughter said something similar. Fantastic, I love it. Okay, for me, my number one goal was I wanted to be a professional basketball player. In sixth grade, that's what I wanted to do, that's what I wanted to be. And believe me, coming from Evanston, Wyoming with 12,000 people, there weren't a lot of people saying, hey, Jaycee, you're going to make it. You're going to do it. I believe in you. On the contrary, a lot of people say, hey, that's a cool idea, but what are you really going to do? Okay? So in sixth grade, I put that goal. And then I kind of went along my life's path doing the best I could to fulfill that dream. I was kind of always better than everyone else at basketball. But I had another experience in eighth grade. I played in a 3-on-3 basketball tournament. And my team lost in the championship game. And I remember being in the car with my dad on the way home, and I'm sitting in the back seat. My dad just kind of keeps looking back at me. Just keeps looking back at me. He's like, I can't believe I got a kid that doesn't know how to score the basketball. I was like, oh, man. Can't believe I can't score the basketball. And so it kind of added fuel to the fire. It's like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to show him. I'm going to learn how to do this. And then we go into ninth grade, okay, freshman year. It's like, all right, here it goes. I'm going to play varsity basketball. I'm going to start. I'm going to be the best player in the state. We have tryouts. I'm excited to see where I am on the list. I was on the freshman basketball team. Okay, freshman on the freshman basketball team. We get about 9 games into the season, and the coach goes, hey, freshmen are going on this next trip. Jaycee, we want you to go on it, though. It's like, all right, here it comes. It's going to happen. I'm going to start playing varsity. Well, they put me on the sophomore team, and right before half, there were 13 seconds to go before halftime, and they put me in the game. I played 13 seconds, and that was it. That was my entire freshman year. I played freshman basketball and 13 seconds in a sophomore game. Okay? So going back from my goals as sixth grade, be professional, to eighth grade, my dad being like, I can't believe I got a kid that can't score, and then 13 seconds in a sophomore game. It just kind of motivated me and added fuel to what I wanted to do. All right, but after that year, something pretty cool happened. Coach Schaefer, the varsity coach, had a team meeting, and he goes, hey, had a piece of paper. He goes, this is a summer shooting workout. It's 500 shots. If you do it this many times this summer, when I open the gym for you, you'll have 10,000 shots for the summer. Now I'm going to give you a T-shirt that says 10,000 Shot Club on it. I was like, okay, there it is. There's my plan. There's my path forward. So I wake up at 6 o'clock every morning. Their gym was open at 6. I go to the gym. I lift weights at 6 o'clock. I had to go work at 7:30. Okay, I cleaned baseball fields, cleaned the bathrooms. I had to paint the lines, had to do the sand. And then, so I worked 7:30 to 3:30. And then at 5 o'clock, the gym opened again. I went to the gym and I did my 500 shots. Every day that summer, 500 shots, 500 shots. We got to the end of the year, or the end of the summer, and Coach Schaefer goes, hey, who did it? Honor system. Who went up and did it? And I raised my hand and said, I did it. 500 shots every day. And he goes, awesome. Awesome. And I got a wonderful mother There's my 10,000 Shot Club t-shirt. All right? Now, this is one of my favorite things. You can see it's been worn a few times. This was one of my favorite things that I ever received. And that summer changed my life. It changed the trajectory of my life. Before, I had a goal with no understanding of how to achieve it. Now I understood the little goals it took to achieve the big goal. So fast forward to that basketball season. I ended up starting varsity basketball as a sophomore, averaged 15 points a game, finished the last game of the state tournament, I scored 37 points. It's like, all right, here we go. That next summer, I went back to work. I did my shots, lifted my weights, did my shots. I was the best player in the state that year, averaged 28 points a game, was the Wyoming Area Player of the Year, and we lost the state championship games. Like, all right, here it goes. I found my path forward. I found how to get better. I went back to the gym that summer. I went to work. I was organized. I was focused. I was dedicated. I was disciplined. Okay? Believe me, some of my friends will look at me, or parents would be like, oh my gosh, that sounds like the worst summer ever. I was like, you're crazy. That's the best summer ever. That's the best summer. I had a girlfriend. She was cute. Okay? Megan Smith. She was awesome. But I didn't go hang out with Megan until my basketball was done. Okay? That year, I was the Gatorade Player of the Year again for the second time, averaged 40 points a game, and I started getting interest from colleges. All right? That small thing that coach did put me on a path and changed my life trajectory. Now, here's what I learned from him. Okay, my lesson number 3. I learned to set goals, and I learned to create a plan to accomplish those goals. All right? I hear a lot of kids or a lot of people be unhappy about results they don't get. And these are quotes I like. Don't be upset by results you don't get from the work you do not put in. I sat on this bus as a senior in high school, and I said, why am I so much better than everyone else? Not in an arrogant way, not as a cocky way, but as I didn't understand. But then I looked back and I said, how many of us were in the gym with me when I was playing? Nobody. How many of my opponents were? By the time I got to senior in high school, I had 10,000 hours of practice time, and I was playing against people that had 2,000 hours. I put the work in to get the result I wanted. Okay? Purposefully and single-mindedly practicing with intent to get better. I think that goes for anything. Now, I'm using this example in basketball in my life, but these principles, as you will see, apply to everything that I did thereafter. Okay? Everybody's motivated, everybody hates to lose, but very few have the dedication and discipline to be great. Okay? I learned those principles in high school through basketball, through sport. It was a microcosm of things that are bigger, things that can happen. And I'll illustrate that as we move forward. So, here's what I mean by being organized. This is what my summer workouts looked like in college. Okay? I was no longer a member of the 10,000 Shot Club. I was a member of the 20,000 Shot Club. Okay? Every summer in the off season, I make 20,000 shots. This is what it looked like. The first one, 550 shots are day 1 and day 3. Okay? This was the 7th week of this workout. Okay? You see my free throws, my form shooting, my biking drills. Everything is very organized. I keep track to makes and misses percentages. The red one, that was the opposite days 2 and 4. That was only 450 shots. I could go up to the gym, I could get 550 shots, 450 shots done in an hour and a half. And then I could go do what I wanted. Okay? Now, why is this important? Like I said, it changed the trajectory of my life and put me in a position to do some really, really cool things, like come talk to you guys today. All right? This is me just bragging, I guess, now. So for at least 13 years, I was one of the top 530 players in the entire world. Okay? That's between the NBA and the Euroleague players. I was named the NCAA.com top three-point shooter of the century. Okay? The top college basketball shooter this century. If you look down the list on number 15, you'll find Steph Curry. Okay? I was 14 places higher than him. Okay? Yeah, you can clap for that. That's all right. Okay? And I won 22 championships. Now I'm going to share a clip with you of my single most most favorite moment of my basketball career.
78 puntos para el Real Madrid. Se coloca a 2.
We're losing by 2 points right now with 9 seconds to go.
Este lo falla y el rebote para el Real Madrid. La tiene Sergio Llull. El lanzamiento se va hacia adentro. No, Carroll solo vuela el triple. Ahora sí, solo. ¡Bingo! ¡Qué espectáculo! ¡Qué locura de partido! Acaba de ganar el Real
We'll
Madrid.
keep watching because like I said, this was.
Impresionante.
I didn't react like this much, but I took that basketball and it's at my house right now. I took it home with me.
Loco, se cae en Wizzing Center porque acabamos de vivir uno de los finales más increíbles de la final de la Liga Endesa. Destrozado se va todo el Barça-Lassa porque no se puede perder de una manera más cruel, Lucio.
Sin palabras, la verdad es que ha sido un partido totalmente dominado por el Barça-Lassa y esto ha sido, pues, espectacular, espectacular.
La asistencia más determinante, Rudy.
Madre mía.
Rebote de Rudy,
Ha tenido la
asistencia de
paciencia.
Llull para Carroll con la finta para tirar completamente liberado.
At that point in my career, I had taken 565,000 shots to earn the right to be able to shoot that one. Okay, that was in June of 2019. Okay, I'm going to share another clip that this is 8 months later, another championship game, okay, where I scored 20 points, and I'm going to talk about the differences of these two games and these two experiences, okay, because it was really impactful for me at the time.
El primer partido fue un escándalo contra el Zaragoza.
El balón abierto para Jaycee Carroll. ¡Bingo!
Tienen muy claro la importancia del inicio de ese partido. Marcar territorio.
Facundo Campazo, Felipe con Josh Adams en la esquina, recibe Jaycee Carroll, línea de fondo, se va de Jaime, utiliza el cuerpo, qué canastón de músculo de Jaycee Carroll. La Mamba Kobe Bryant, que hoy le va a dar nombre por primera vez cuando llega el triplazo de Jaycee Carroll al premio de MVP del All-Star de la NBA. Va avanzando, montando el contragolpe, le llega a las manos de Deck, se equivoca. Deck para Carroll, la canasta volando al contragolpe después de morder en defensa el Real Madrid. Juega Campazo. Bola extra para los blancos, acelera, abre para Jaycee Carroll, rompe a una mano, ¡qué barbaridad! Carroll hacia la derecha, sigue avanzando Campazo, le quiere sacar la falta Alberto Díaz, tira la bombita que no entra, rebote ofensivo de Eddie Tavares, bola extra, ¡bingo! Franco tirador, segundo Campazo. 13 puntos, 3 rebotes, 9 asistencias, un robo de balón. Con él en cancha, 31 puntos de ventaja para el Real Madrid. El tiro de Carroll ya está en el doble-doble, 10 asistencias. El balón sin mirar para Eddie Tavares, saca Jaycee Carroll. ¡Bum!
All right. Could you see the difference between the first video and the second video? The difference between the first video and the second video was the first video was in June 2019. In September and October 2019 was the first time in my life where I felt depression and anxiety. In that second video, I had lost about 15 pounds, and during the pregame nap, where we're sitting in the hotel room, I couldn't sleep, I couldn't relax, to the point that I had to call in our team doctor to come sit with me. I sat with him and I cried, and I said, I can't deal with this anymore. This stuff I'm dealing with is too heavy. I don't know what to do. I don't know what direction I need to go in life. And I need help. Okay? At that point, I've been dealing with it for maybe, like you said, since about October. So October, December, January. This was the first. So it was about 3.5 months in it of not being able to sleep, not being able to eat, not being able to relax. Anytime I would finally kind of fall asleep, I would wake up feeling like I was falling off the couch. And I really didn't know what to do. Up until that point in my life, I had heard people talk about depression and anxiety, and I would just kind of shake my head. I couldn't understand it. I had no basis of what that was like. So why don't you just decide to be happy? Why don't you just decide that things are okay? And if I didn't go through that, I wouldn't understand or be empathetic, and I wasn't empathetic to what those feelings really were. Okay? I was 8 months apart. The very best and the very most exciting moment of my entire basketball career. And 8 months later, I'm going, I don't know if I can show up to this basketball game. In basketball, plays I'd ran for 10 years, I couldn't remember them. I couldn't concentrate. My mind was fixated on one thought every single moment of every single day. I used to tell people, I'd be like, it just felt like my CPU, like my interior computer system was just running full speed 24 hours a day. I had to find a way to get out of it because I couldn't live like that. And so I'm going to share with you just some of the things that I was able to do to handle it, to cope with it, and to try and move forward with it. So these are, whoops, I'm going the wrong direction. I'm sorry. Okay. Now, going back to what I did as a youth, right? I'm going to start on the very bottom one. I established a routine, kind of like as a kid with basketball, knowing what time, when, where, how many shots. I created a weekly routine that I had to do. And for me, it was simple. Monday, I didn't have practice, so every Monday, I went and got a haircut. Okay? Every Monday, I went to the mall, I got a haircut, and I bought a new set of clothes. I'm not a shopper, but it was something for me to go out of my house. I was living in Spain by myself at the time. I had no one in my house to help me, no one to lean on. And so going out and shopping gave me a human interaction that I needed. Someone would help me pick out a shirt, someone help me pick out a pants. I'd buy it, I'd sit in the mall, and I'd eat an ice cream cone and just kind of hang out. Okay, so that was step one. I kind of established a routine. That was that day. Tuesday, I'd be at the gym, and I'd be with my team most of the day. At night, I'd make sure I went out of the house and went out to a restaurant and ate. I made sure that when I was called, I was never sitting in the house when people called me. I was always out and about. So I created a routine. The second thing that I had to do is I had to start to remember all the good things in my life. Okay, and I put some pictures up here for me of what some of the good things were. I mean, look, I was playing for Real Madrid. That top picture on the left, that's Cristiano Ronaldo. That's Gareth Bale. I was able to go to hospitals and give presents to sick kids for Christmas that year. All right, I got my 4 kids sitting in the bathtub. They're a lot bigger than that now, but those are the good things. I mean, just look at the smile on Jagger with his orange hat, right? The good things in my life. I got my parents over there. They were loving and supporting at all that time. Okay, now the next thing I did is I worked harder on my faith, and I think it lines up well with the goal of what we're doing here at Pause. I had a religious basis for my life. I went back to those things. I prayed more. I read more. I was more thoughtful. I was more ingenuous. The next thing I realized is I reached out to my support system. I talked to my parents. I had a couple friends that actually flew from the United States to stay with me for a week in Spain. They knew I was struggling. They knew I was having a hard time. I'm grateful for them. We went out to eat. I bought them whatever food they wanted. God, we went to the best sushi places. We went to the best restaurants in Madrid. Like it was go time. I was grateful they were there. I did get to the point that I reached out and I sat and I spoke with a professional. I went to some counseling. I don't know what she did or if she helped or not, but I was able to go once a week for an hour and talk to somebody about the things that I was dealing with and try to take some advice to help me get better. The next thing I learned very quickly was I got very much involved in my own pain and my own suffering, and I just was sitting in my car with a friend in Spain, and I just looked at him. I go, "Hey man, how are you doing?" He opened up. He lost his job. His fiance had decided they wasn't going to marry him anymore and was leaving. He didn't have a place to live anymore, and I was like, "Holy cow, you might have it worse than me." And so I reached out to others and realized that almost everyone is suffering from something. And I was able to kind of spend some time. And so to help him out, help myself out, I invited him to come live with me until he could get his feet under him. Lived with me for 6 weeks. He had some financial struggles. I took him shopping. We got him some clothes to go get jobs. I took him out to eat at fancy places because I could do that sort of thing at the time. Okay? So, and little by little, over time, I love the line on the top, right? This too shall pass. I heard Tom Hanks say it once. When things are going great, this too shall pass. When things are going bad, this too shall pass. All right? The goods and the bads will always come and go if we have tools and resources to reach out. So that's my experience with some depression and anxiety. It's real. It's real. I physically could not eat. I wanted to. Physically could not eat. I could not sleep. Okay? But with time, this too shall pass. The last thing before we get to some questions is I just really want to reiterate where we started. Remember your incredible potential that you have in this life. If you ever have any thoughts, feelings, doubts, fears, or thoughts that maybe life is better or this world is better without you here, you could not be more wrong. This world needs every single one of you. We need what you have. You are loved, you are cared for, you are needed, and you are wanted. There are resources to help you understand that and to help you get back to where you need to go. It doesn't need to be something you do on your own. There's not embarrassment or shame in finding help. Okay? I'm grateful for this chance I had to come here. And I'm grateful for the chance I had to share some of my favorite videos, some of my favorite highlights, and brag about myself a little bit, but also share some struggles that I have had, which sometimes I think we might feel like doesn't happen. Who has some questions that they might want to ask? Yeah.
When you have coaches or players that are putting you down, how can you get past that?
Say it one more time.
When you have coaches or players that are putting you down, how can you get past that?
Yeah, that's tough. It's not fun. Those are people you'd hope would be on your side and would cheer for you and root for you. If I look back on, I teased about, I went quickly over my high school basketball career, but when I was a sophomore playing varsity, those seniors loved me. They called me their ticket. I was their ticket to state. When I was a junior, those seniors hated me. They were rude to me. They bullied me. They wouldn't pass me the ball when I was open. And it was tough. Understand your worth. Keep going to work and doing what you need to do. And be a little bit bigger than them. It'll pass. And I don't know if that's great advice, but that's what I did. Put my head down, understood my worth. I spent time and interacted with people that didn't treat me like that. I was underclassmen at the time. What other questions do we got? Yeah.
How do you balance the growth and work ethic with when it was difficult to not overwhelm yourself? Because that's difficult to balance, right? How do you do that?
Yeah. For me, and it's funny, in sports, a lot of times they say, oh, you get on the court, it's just a sanctuary, everything goes away. It's not true. It's just something people say. Like, it's all there. I do try and talk to my girls and stuff, and sometimes my girls' basketball, I'm like, look, for the next hour and a half, we can't do any homework. We can't answer any questions. We can't wonder about the boy that asked us to prom or hasn't asked us to prom. So for the next hour and a half, let's try and put that stuff aside and let's focus on what's here. So for me, and it happened in 2023 when I got back. I was like, oh, let's do this, start doing everything. I kind of had to recenter myself and say, hey, what is really meaningful in my life? Where do I want to really spend time in my life? And so I kind of had to sit down it's over a course of about a month for me, where I just sit and process what's important, where do I really want to spend my time moving forward. And I just started eliminating those things that don't align with it. If I want to spend more time with my family and my kids, does coaching high school basketball allow that to happen? Does owning a new med spa allow that to happen? And I just had to start getting that stuff out of my life so I could focus on what was important. So I think sitting down and reprioritizing where you want to be. Yes. Yeah.
What motivated you to wake up every single day? What was the motivation that was so strong that you woke up and you did those 500 shots in the gym? What motivated you?
Yeah, a couple things. One, I really truly had a deep desire to be a professional basketball player. I loved playing basketball. The second thing, my dad always said little nuggets that always stuck with me. One thing he always says is, he says, son, I don't care what you do in life, but you gotta put your best effort and do your best at it. And so for me, that was doing my best. So those words still echo in my head. I don't care what you do, but do your best at it. It's not always easy. I don't like going to the gym every single day. Like I didn't. But I knew I could if I could get myself up and get myself there for the hour and 30 minutes it took, it would better my future, and I could go do whatever else I wanted. So those are kind of things that motivated me. But also getting a buddy. I had Jonathan Kais, and we held ourselves accountable to getting up. We both were the same. Our parents made us have a summer job, and we didn't have cell phones to like text and say, hey, I can't make it. So if one person didn't show up, it was like, hey, did he crash? Did he sleep? Like, there's no way of knowing because we didn't have a cell phone. So he didn't show up. That person was just lost forever for the day until he popped up. So I had a teammate, a buddy that helped hold me accountable. Couple more, if any? Yeah.
Did the depression go away on its own, or do you still work to maintain your mental health?
Yeah, some of those things still linger. I said that was in 2020. It was 2025 now. Some of those feelings, some of those things still linger. I won't say it's completely. I mean, I went a couple of years where I didn't ever worry about it, ever think about it. Look, I'll be honest. Here recently, I'm fighting through some of that stuff again. It seems to be kind of a December, January, February thing for me. Maybe it's the cold weather, but yeah, some of those lingering things still come. And luckily, I'm better prepared now. I kind of have some of those safeties in place that when I start to maybe feel some of those things or feel down, I can, all right, look, we know how to deal with this. Let's deal with this and move forward.
Do you think COVID may have, I've noticed the date there, and I think that a lot of us can relate to how hard and weird life got during that time. Did that affect you? Is that part of why?
Right. If I'm being perfectly honest, no, for me, COVID was not it at all. The cause of mine was very, very isolated, and I very much know what the reason was. Now, I don't think COVID helped. I think it definitely hurt a lot of people and a lot of young people with all the social distancing and all the isolation that we tried to put people in, the face masks. Look, I'm not saying good, but the face masks where you can't see facial expressions. We use our faces a lot to express happiness, sadness, and whatever. When you can't see that, we lose a lot of those social cues that really help us. So I do think that hurt a lot of people. We were playing in gyms. I mean, I can show you videos where we're playing in gyms and there's no one in them because we weren't allowed to. You know, we have our bench has seats 10 feet apart all the way down the court. Sorry, which always seems silly because then we go on the court and we'd be hitting each other. I was like, I'm a little confused. But yeah, for me specifically, that COVID did not, but I know it was and is for a lot of people. I think a lot of people and young people still are kind of dealing through some of the causations of the social distancing stuff. Anyone else? Yeah.
Can you please talk a little bit more about how your faith helped you?
Mm-hmm. Very good. So one thing that my faith always gave me, it gave me a sense of purpose. It gave me a sense of understanding that I'm not alone. there's a higher power that is looking after me, that wants me to be good, that wants me to be happy, and that can help me and support me. One of my favorite things, and not to go too much into it, but one of the things is you read through the New Testament, you hear these stories of Jesus, and he's walking, and I don't know, we always, and for good reason, he's always, he's a God, he's a being, but for a brief time, he walked on this earth and he went through all these struggles, and we can literally find his footprints and walk through them. And that always stuck with me. Like, hey, he's suffered too. He can help. He can understand what this was, and can help me deal with it as well as anyone. So some of those things were really powerful to me, and it was good to kind of go back and remember those. I mean, I studied them really hard for 2 years, and then to go back and remember those foundations brought a lot of peace and comfort into my life. Yeah.
Paul also mentioned that he traveled because of the exploitation of the trade. They practice whichever way.
Yeah, I think that is a really difficult thing. I don't know that I have a great answer for it. I have family members that have dealt with that and are still dealing with it, after 10 years. And I think for me, some of the biggest things are just, hey, remember that you are loved. You have people here that love you, people that care about you, and we will support you and love you no matter what. And I think most faiths, wherever they line up, and if they don't, they should have a more emphasis on that human being and the value of that human being and the good person that is and all the good things they can do. And we should look more at that than whatever conceptions they have of where that lines up in their beliefs.
When you were talking about when you were recovering, one of the things that I think was impactful for you, because you mentioned it, one of the things that you mentioned that it was impactful for you were your friends flying from the U.S. to Spain to be with you.
Yeah.
Can you tell us how impactful was that for you to have friends, to have real people, to connect? It sounded that the friends that were like forever friends, someone that you would trust with your life.
Yeah, they were forever friends, and honestly, they're basketball teammates I played with in college. And I honestly didn't reach out to them. They had kind of heard that some stuff was going on. And
how was it for you when they reached out to you and you didn't even ask?
Oh, it was huge. It was huge because I didn't reach out.
You say you used to tell us more about the emotional family.
Yeah.
How did you feel when you found that these people that you didn't even ask for help, but they reached out? How would you feel inside? Describe some of the emotions.
Yeah, I felt less alone. I felt loved. I felt cared for, and they didn't even hesitate. They kind of got together and said, "Look, I'll go out for this week. You go out for the next 2 weeks." And even the first person that came out, I think he only stayed for 4 days, and it's a 21-hour trip to get there. And so he took 21 days to get there, spent about 48 hours with me, and then flew back. But that was everything. I was able to sit and talk with him. I was able to share what I was going through, and that was wonderful. Then the next person came and kind of picked up where he left off. So forever grateful for those efforts they made. And as we sit here and look at this, I think one thing we always say is, hey, let me know if there's anything I can do for you. And that's a wonderful thing to say. Hey, let me know if there's anything you do. Problem is, most people don't ever let you know. Just show up. Show up and say, let's go get a drink. Let's go to lunch. And just pull them with you. They'll probably open up in that moment and say, yeah, things are kind of tough right now. Thank you. So, hey, whatever you need, let me know. There's a better way to do it. Yeah.
If there was one thing that you wish you started sooner, what would that be?
Buying Apple stocks. Just kidding. Just kidding. One thing I could have started earlier. With basketball, I started pretty young, pretty disciplined, pretty young. I don't know. I don't have a good answer for that. When some of the mental health stuff came up, I just hadn't. I said I'd sit there and go, I don't know why I've been so blessed. I knew a trial was going to come. Like I knew something was going to come. I knew and I always thought in my head, I was like, there's going to be a death in my family or an illness. That's what I thought my trial was going to be. The trial that came wasn't that. It completely blindsided me. On a list of 1,000 worries in my life, it was worry number 1,005. I mean, I was so blindsided by what hurt me. I don't know how I could have prepared for it more. And to back up, I think just given my background, growing up with faith, and my good parents and my good friends, that I had been prepared for when the bad things happened. Yeah.
So, I was thinking about how is that going to be your mental health journey?
Oh, that's awesome. So like yesterday, I spent about 2.5 hours on a tractor. I was scooping manure. And I can't tell you how much I'm able to sit out there and think. I'm able to kind of get away from all the ruckus, put my phone in the pocket. Sometimes I go places where there's no service. I can just kind of get a little more grounded. I love taking my horses and going on a ride. I feed cows. I'll just sit there and you just hear them eating. It's really therapeutic. Like, come hang out on the farm one day. You'll see what that looks like. So yeah, I think ag, and I think just getting back to a little bit simpler way of life helps you slow things down, put things in perspective. Maybe one more, two more.
Now that you're on this side of your own mental health battle, how has that changed? I have this two personal question, but how has that changed the way that you see your own children, or that you see other people who are struggling?
Yeah, I'm able to recognize a little bit more what it looks like, and I'm a little more conscious with it. And I'll sit with my kids a little bit more and go, just kind of look at them and go, hey, what's going on? Let's talk about it. Or when I see them get upset, I'm a little more sympathetic than I used to be. I used to be like, hey, toughen up. Like, let's go. Now it's more like, hey, what's going on? Let's talk about it a little bit. And then in other people, so I was coaching basketball at Lone Peak High School yesterday, and I had this girl, she just was like struggling. She couldn't dribble and this and that, and we got to the practice, I just kind of looked, I said, hey, kind of rough day today. She goes, yeah, I struggled, and then I got frustrated. It's like, hey, it's all right, it happens. And then we went out in the parking lot. I'm just getting in my truck, and her mom was there, and they're like, hey, yeah, sorry, I wasn't, I kind of got this going on, and we were able to talk about it a little bit. So just able to kind of be a little more empathetic and recognize my kind of some signs a little better now that I've experienced it. Maybe one more? Yeah.
Random question, so like, if you want to name your best flavor out of your song, what is your name?
Oh, man. An ice cream flavor. So to be honest, my favorite ice cream flavor is vanilla. Like, don't put anything, don't mess with perfection. So vanilla dream, I don't know. Yeah.
I really like to talk about, in the past people say, hey, I've been out, hungry, thinking that everything's going to change, it doesn't change for you.
Yeah.
Actually, if you go to the world, so where do you learn that? What do you learn? How do you learn that you shouldn't say, please strong, go ahead and run the curl, you just be tough, whatever we say like that, then you strong.
Yeah.
All these things that we say that are really not helping.
Yeah.
So how do you learn it? You learn it through counseling, you learn it, how do you learn it? How do you get students to understand that we don't say this, we say, hey, what can I do for you? I didn't understand, I'm here for you, what can I do? That's the legal questions.
Yeah. So let me think how to answer that. I mean, you've kind of made a good point on it. Just being more aware of what those words mean. And I'm still kind of in the middle. I mean, there are times that I'll look at my girls' basketball team or my kids and go, hey, toughen up. Like, you're okay. You're toughen up. And let's be tough. You're okay. But then you can see sometimes that it's more being a little bit more aware and maybe asking a few more probing questions. So for me, it's just let's have better questions to ask kids and ask adults when it looks like they're struggling. And off the top of my head, I probably can't give you any good just questions, but it's not, hey, are you okay? Yes, I'm okay. All right. It's like, hey, what's going on? What are you looking forward to? What has you excited? What has you stressed? What are you worried about right now? More questions that require more than a yes or no answer. Are you okay? Yeah, I'm okay. Okay, let's move on. But no, hey, what what are you worried about this week? What's going on with your day? It requires them to think and process a little bit more.
Okay, last question right here. Okay, so for somebody that's trying to support you, like maybe your parents, what could you tell somebody that they can do that really helped you? Like maybe, like, because I always struggle as a mom with my kids. Like, I don't know what to tell you, but I'm here for you. Like, what would you tell somebody who's trying to support somebody?
Yeah. For me, my first thought would be less advice and more listening. Sometimes we jump to want to try and solve the problem, and all they want to do is be heard a little bit. So maybe less advice and more listening. And then I think personal experiences. It's kind of my preferred teaching method is, holy cow, I don't know if I can relate completely, but I went through this. This is kind of my experience with it, and this is how I was able to work through it. So for me, listening more, giving less advice, and then teaching through personal experiences would kind of maybe be my answer. But with all these great questions and how to do that, there are professionals that do this. They can give so much better advice than I could. But thank you for letting me share my experience, lessons I've learned, and again, thank you very much for letting me be here.